And the last-minute rotation of the wrist can magnify that force even more.
Stepping to close the distance, bring my rear foot up, turning my hip, turning my shoulder over, keeping my fist, palm flat with the floor, land there. So that's the big difference then, is that they're not, drinking a beer, they're resting their hand on the bar. There you go.
That's pretty fluid.
A big difference that I'm noticing with this is that it's not a lead hook, which you see a lot in boxing, is this measuring tool. This is a rear hook, so not only is there more power on it, but you have to gauge your distance better. That's why you're taking that closing step to throw that hook on his chin.
Okay.
But perhaps the most interesting aspect of Crew Seravorn's right hook is that he and his fighters are even alive to show it to us. See, it was just a half-mile from this spot some 30 years ago that Cambodia's martial arts and culture were nearly wiped out. Chung Ike is the site of the infamous killing fields, mass graves where the vicious dictator Pol Pot and his party, the Khmer Rouge, executed and buried 20,000 Cambodians.
Everywhere you look around here, too, you see, random pieces of material.
This is clothes of the victim.
This is their clothes. Wow.
So the clothes and the bones and the teeth, everything's just coming up out of the ground, and you can walk around and see it. It's unbelievable. It makes you want to just run off and cry.
Many of the people buried here were executed for practicing arts like Pradal Serey. Those who survived, like Crew Seravorn, were forced into hiding. It wasn't until 1997 that the Khmer Rouge's reign officially ended, and fighters like Seravorn emerged from hiding.
Slowly, he and other masters salvaged Cambodia's fighting arts, resurrecting Khmer boxing, Bokator, and Pradal Serey. Arts we're learning the hard way.
I've only been in Cambodia a couple days, and these guys train hard, they push hard, they hit hard. I mean, I already have respect for these guys. I can't wait to see what else they have to offer.
Leaving the crew's camp and the killing fields behind, we headed further south, across the Mekong River, to the small village of Kasach Kandal.
When we arrived in the village, we were surprised to find that a millennium-old festival once outlawed by the Khmer Rouge was in full swing. The festival, Pacham Ben, was originally celebrated by Khmer warriors some 1,500 years ago as a means of honoring Buddha and recruiting new soldiers.
Today, this annual festival serves to honor the souls of the dead and celebrate a bountiful harvest. The celebration centers around two very entertaining and very dangerous activities.
The first involves racing herds of 2,600-pound water buffaloes through the village streets.
Tennessee Orange wins every time.
The other half of the festival centers around Khmer folk wrestling, an art derived from the ancient warrior arts of the Khmer Empire.
Khmer wrestling was outlawed for nearly 30 years under the Khmer Rouge. Today, the art's chief practitioner is Coach Vat Chemroon.
What are the rules for that?
The rule is simple. Just only throw down the opponent.
So if you get your
on the
opponent
map,
on the mat, like on the back,
yes,
you win.
You win. Yeah,
kind of
this
like
win.
American wrestling a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Keep them on the back.
Khmer wrestling employs a variety of takedowns and grappling techniques. Techniques we can definitely use in our fight with Opu Tong.
Well, I'd love to do some training in this. Can you show us how to do this?
Yes, of course.
All right.
Of course.
Yeah.
At the village pagoda, Coach Vat demonstrated a takedown we immediately recognized from our MMA training.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then?
So you're clinched. All right. Oh, yeah, I feel that. Lift me up. Oh, then down. Oh, God. Okay.
Here, it's called the Ope Claw. In the West, we call it the bear hug. The move begins from the clinch. Locking your hands behind your opponent's upper back and squeezing tight, you arch your back and lift your opponent off the ground.
But in this variation, the chin is then dug into the opponent's sternum, and the locked hands are then dropped to the lower back and pulled sharply inward.
You want chin right in the middle of the sternum. So you pop here, down,
This forces your opponent underneath your body weight and eventually to the ground.
So you're actually bringing your hands from up here to lift up and then down.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you actually have two different points of leverage.
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
These alternating points of leverage are the basis for the move. Locking the hands high behind the shoulder blades puts you in control of your opponent's center of mass, which in turn negatively affects his conditional stability. Dropping the hands behind the lower back and driving your chin into the chest further disturbs his center of mass and makes resistance from this position nearly impossible. The application of maximum force ensures you maintain control while driving your opponent to the ground.
I guess if you're in here and we're clinching, we can use that. You're throwing knees in here, and then we're up here nice and high. So you're lifting them up first,
Yes, up first.
and then down in here.
And down. Yes.
You know, the bear hug is universal in most military arts. It's a good way to take an opponent down quickly, hard, and even knock him out if it's a hard surface. Luckily, we got some pads. Nice one, Jay.
Thank you, Bill. Clinch work is something that you see in almost every mixed martial art and UFC fight. It's also something that Bill and I are discovering as we're training more and more in traditional arts. Now, even though you don't have your hands free to take someone down, using the boxing gloves and the clinch position you're already in, you can bring your opponent to the mat, possibly win the round, if not the fight.
But drilling a technique is one thing. To get some real experience with this move, Coach Cham Ruin invited me to face off against my sparring partner in a full-blown Khmer wrestling match. He wasted no time shooting in on me, but I employed a technique called the sprawl and stuffed his shot. But this guy had some agility to go along with his power. Every time I got him where I wanted, he'd find a way out of my grasp. Finally, I was able to pin him down. And this time, he wasn't getting away.
Traditional wrestling's a lot different. They get really low. They try to shirk that center of gravity on you. You don't find too many 350-pound Cambodians. But when you do, boy, are they tough to wrestle.
Our experience at Pacham Ben left us banged up and dog-tired. But we were only halfway through our journey. Next, we'll trace Pradal Serey's origins back to the colossal ruins of a lost civilization and learn a vicious move that will lead us one step closer to victory. For the next leg of our journey, we hitched a ride in a helicopter